Hello, everybody. Joe Marquez here once again from the Sons of Technology, and I wanted to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about something that we can do in class, but also remotely when we're away from class. And that's looking into distributing articles that teachers find on the internet and sending them to students so that they can read. But the one thing about that, though, is even in class, or once again, if you're teaching remote, we need to understand if they are understanding the article, right? Because there's a reason we've chosen that article because it meets some requirement or it hits some of the talking points that you've been talking about in class in a real world situation. But we need to make sure that they are actually getting that information that we want to get from them. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you can annotate the web or annotate the internet. And you can find all my notes and all my information here at bit.ly/web annotate. But I'll also put the link in the show notes as well. I'm going to show you a little bit about what we're going to do. If I scroll down a little bit under extensions, we're going to talk about some extensions that can truly transform what it means to annotate or read something on the internet. Now, this doesn't always take away from where you can print something out and have them annotate physically. But there's something that always needs to occur when we're giving our students a task or an activity. And that's, we have to make sure the activity or task is actually meeting the goals that we have set forth. And we have to do that during the time the kids are reading the article, not after the fact, because we need to make sure that they're understanding it now before they leave our classroom or before the activity is over. And so I always put technology or always put tasks through something that a little filter that I call inspect, redirect, make correct. That means at any moment, myself as a teacher or an educator, I should be able to inspect my students' work and check to see if they are actually understanding that material. And then if not, I should be able to redirect them towards the correct path, whether it's an individual student I'm redirecting or a whole class redirection. And then give them time during the lesson, not the next day, not after you've graded and turned something back, during the lesson before they leave class, a chance to make those corrections. So I call that, once again, inspect, redirect, make correct. And these are some extensions that we're going to be using to be able to do that. And I'll call each one out when we use them. But right off the bat, we're going to be using Mercury Reader to clean up some of the internet. We're going to be using Awesome Screenshot to annotate and take images. We're going to be using Super Simple Highlighter to actually highlight the internet text. We're going to be choosing Note Anywhere to leave little educational breadcrumbs about why the article was important. And then we're going to be utilizing Web Paint as well so that our students can actually annotate in real time over the internet also. And then I also wanted to showcase this little thing called Immersive Reader. It's a really great product from Microsoft, but this one is an extension that can be utilized in Chrome, and it is a unofficial extension, and we've actually done a complete episode on the use of this Immersive Reader. So if you would like to see a little bit more about Immersive Reader, you can go ahead and check out our Immersive Reader YouTube video that we have right here in this channel. So let me go ahead and talk to you a little about what we're going to do. Let's say that we sent our students an article about live lessons via Zoom, or some other broadcasting software like Teams or Google Hangouts. And we actually want to showcase for them, for our students, or hey, even our staff, showcase for them why it's a great benefit, but also if you're not locking down your settings, things can go awry. So a great article for them to read is this article that says threats and slurs happened during an online school board meeting. Now, first thing I want you to see on this article is not the article itself, but it's all of the clickbaits that are all over this. We all know that print is dying, right? All of these different newspapers are not being bought anymore in the physical sense. They're all being done on the internet. And a lot of them put up paywalls, yes, but some of them are utilizing ads for their revenue. And look how many ads are all over this article. I mean, it slows the browsing experience down. If you're doing this for students, it's going to have a lot of different things they're looking at, so they may not be focusing on the article. So one great tool that I love to use and my students to use when an article has just so many ads is Mercury Reader. And once again, Mercury Reader, I have the icon right up here. If I click on it, it will automatically remove all of the ads, all of the images, everything that does not have anything to do with the article itself. And it's really great. Now, when I do this, I'm doing this so my students can focus on the words and actually go in and make these annotations and corrections. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something called app smashing. So or actually extension smashing, I guess we can say. So I've used Mercury Reader to remove all the junk. And now I want my students to annotate this internet. A great tool to use is going to be a tool called WebPaint. WebPaint gives you a lot of different tools to be able to write over the screen of your article. So let's say that you're telling your kids, okay, I want you to read the first page or the first 5 paragraphs of this article, and I want you to underline the main points, and I want you to circle this or do that. They can do that with this. So if social distancing is something that you're talking about in class, you can underline it. Notice I'm black right here, and I don't want it to be black. I want it to stand out a little bit more. So I'll come up to my color palette. I'm going to choose red, select OK, and now the red pen appears. Maybe you want that pen to be a little bit thicker. Right now the size is at 5%. I'm going to increase it to 15, and now you have a larger one right there as well. And so you can now underline, you can check mark, you can circle anything that you're asking your students to do. They can even leave little texts off to the side. So they can leave little notes to themselves while they are reading, right over the article itself. And then you can also utilize shapes if you want to do the entire paragraph right here, and then you want to actually use a line over here, and then you want to do a text right there to talk right about that article. A great way to annotate the internet doing all these different tools right here. Now let's say we're all done. Our students have added everything we want them to do, and they've done a really good job of annotating this portion of the internet. And now we need to see, hey, kids, show me what you've done. Now, if you're physically in class, yes, you could walk around the room and see what they're doing and ask them those questions, but we want them to be able to take something and actually send it to us so other people, not just ourselves, not just us as educators, but other teachers or other students to see what the kids are doing. And so this WebPaint has a great tool right here that lets you take a screenshot, and that screenshot is exactly what you've done, and then even everything off to the side, and then all they do is hit download right down there, and now this article here is done. Now, how would you have your students give this back to the teacher? Well, there's a few different ways. One is, since it's been downloaded, you can actually have like a ticket. I don't want to call it an exit ticket because we want to check for understanding before our students leave, but maybe a mid-class check, right? Hey, let me see what you're doing right now. Let me see the annotations that you've done. And so once they've done the screenshot, they can then upload this to Google Classroom just for you. You can have a question on there that says, hey, I want you to upload what you've done for that first page of our threats article that we have just read. And then there you go. It's all done and it's all taken care of. Pretty easy. You could even crop it if you wanted to, but this is really, really an easy way of doing that. There's another cool thing that you can use here, and you can use the same thing for the next thing that I'm going to be doing. And that's utilizing a learning artifact template. A learning artifact is something the students create during the course of learning that is made public. And when I mean public, I don't mean to the broader public. I mean public to the class or public to the rest of the school. In this case, we're talking about public to the class. So you want to be able to post what you've done, what you've learned, what you've created to the entirety of the class. And the last thing that a learning artifact must be is lasting. So I mean, they can't lose it. It can't get lost in the bottom of their backpack. It doesn't get handed back and then they just throw it away. And so a great thing that I love to utilize is called a slide snap. And I actually have another video on the entirety of what a slide snap is. But here's what you can do. Here's the great thing. A slide snap is a quick snapshot of learning. It's a snapshot of what's happening right now. And so you would tell your kids, okay, create that snap of exactly what you're doing. And so all they would do would be right click. They would replace this image with an image that they just downloaded or just completed. Here's that screenshot. I click OK, and boom, in just a few clicks, the entire article and the video that they just took or image they just took is now here. And then off to the side, they would type what they learned, what they've done, and what they're going over through. And if you want to go even a step further, you can actually have them leave a voice or video message to themselves on what they've learned and what they need to do as well. Once again, I have a whole other video that talks about this slide snap and everything that you can do that you can also click on and view as well. So let's keep moving on. So once I'm done here, I'm going to go ahead and undo the Mercury Reader from from the article. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my web paint. Turn that off. Thank you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the Mercury Reader. Now, once again, I use the Mercury Reader when I have a great article I want my students to read, but the website itself is just chock full of junk that's slowing or taking their mind off the actual article. So let's actually go to a web page that actually is pretty clean. One of the best places I get educational articles from, or insights about the educational trends that are happening, is EdTech Magazine. And there is not a lot of ads on this as well. And so this is a great thing that they could annotate directly on top of the web page without having to do any Mercury readering on it. And so I love using web paint in this case as well. And so I'll turn web paint on, and let me show you the difference between using Mercury Reader with using web paint with Mercury Reader, and then using web paint directly on a web page. On Mercury Reader, if I circled something or if I underlined something, it would, if I took my cursor and I scrolled to the bottom of the article, the writing or the annotations would remain in one spot. It would not scroll with it. But if I do the annotations here, and then I want to scroll farther down in the article, the annotation actually follows. Anything that I do, any underlines, and you can do everything that we just showed you on the other one, and that's once again leaving text messages and everything there as well. It's a cool little tool. And I also want you to see this. If I leave this web page, so I exit off the web page, it's gone. I'm going to go back to it. If I go back to the web page and the article loads back up, and I click back on my web paint, I want you to see what happens. I click back on it, my web paint feature pops back up, and my annotations remain. It follows your Google account. So if the kids are annotating this article now, and then well, right now, if you're doing remote learning, if you want them to continue annotating it at another time, if they take a break, if they exit it, whatever, and then they go back to the article, everything that they had done is still going to remain there. That's why I love web paint, because it not only does it flow with the entirety of the article, but it stays there forever unless you click this button that says clear. So that's pretty neat. I love web paint. It does really good things. Another cool extension that I love to use on web pages is Super Simple Highlighter. And it says super simple, but it actually took me a few tries to actually get it to work. Because if you traditionally want to utilize a extension, you click on the extension right up here at the top of your browser. But when we're actually talking about utilizing text, you actually have to highlight the text. We're going to go through here and we're going to highlight the text. And whenever you want to interact with text with an extension, you right click on it. So I'm going to right click, and you can see right down here on the bottom, I have an option for Super Simple Highlighter. And so let's say in class you already have highlight cadences. Like red means this is something that you don't understand and you're struggling with that sentence, or green means you're good to go. Yellow means it's something important. Let's say you've already created cadences of what these highlights mean. They can come through and now highlight, once again, the actual internet all the way down, going through the entirety of the article. Pretty neat, huh? And once again, it attaches itself to your Google account. So if I exit this article again and I go back to this article, those highlights, once the web page goes back, loads back in, those highlights will remain there as well, unless you come over here and click on these X's. Here's another cool thing. If I click now on my highlighter, after I've already highlighted, if I click there, it will give me a summary of when I left those highlights and what that highlight was. And if you wanted to, they can copy those highlighted sections and then paste them into a Google Doc. It's just a great way to interact with the internet. Now here's a problem. Let's say, oh, the kids are highlighting this, they're doing everything good, and then the next time you go over these things, you ask, hey, why did you highlight this red? They go, I don't remember. Hey, why did you highlight this purple? I don't remember. It's a really great idea to have students leave little educational breadcrumbs. And what that is, it's little notes to themselves to remember why they had done something. Because in the moment, and I know you all, because I do it the same way, I know you all feel this way. Like if you're at a conference or you're learning something, you're sitting there going, I don't need to write this down, I'm going to remember it. And then you go back maybe a week later to do that same thing, and you're like, I don't even remember what I had done. So that's the way our kids are all the time. So another tool, once again, we are extension app smashing. A great tool is called Note Anywhere. So after I leave a highlight, I put a sticky note and I type why I left that note there, right? And so I'll leave another one, bring it down. Why did I leave this note here? And if you wanted to, you could triple app smash clicking on web paint, and now you can draw which highlight belongs to which note. It's pretty neat. Yes, you could just come over here and leave notes with the text, but I want to show you why I love the sticky notes, okay? So let's say that the kids have done all of this, they've gone through this, and they've gotten all their highlights down, they've left all their sticky notes, they've used the web paint, okay, and then when you say, okay, time to leave, or it's time to end this article, we'll go back over it at a later time. They exit out of it, and let's say they forget where the article is. They don't have the link anymore. They forgot where they went. Here is a really, really cool thing. The reason I love using Note Anywhere is because it remembers everywhere you've left that note. So if I right click on this and I come down right over here and I select options and I go to note summary, it will remember every location I've ever left any note. And now I'm going to click right here. It will take me right back to the article that I was annotating, and if I scroll down, it has my sticky notes for the notes, my breadcrumbs, it has my highlights, and once again, if I click on my web paint, it remembers everything, and once again, everything scrolls with the article. Yay! And yes, you could take a picture with the camera right here, but I want to quickly show you one more tool, and I just love to give you options to utilize things. You can use another really, really, really cool article extension that I love called Awesome Screenshot. And yes, in the past they've had some issues with security and stuff, but recently I've chatted with them, and they've said that they fixed everything. They resubmitted to the Google Play Store, and it was accepted again. So it's passed all the security settings that Google has placed into it, so everything should be good. If not, you can always use another screenshot tool called Nimbus. But whenever I have the option, I always choose Awesome Screenshot. So now I'm going to click on Awesome Screenshot. It's going to ask me to reload the page. It's because I just installed it again after that update. And once I've done this, I'm going to click on Awesome Screenshot right up here. And it's going to give me a lot of different options. And one of the things I love using is capture after countdown, because sometimes I actually want to hover over a box and have that pop up, and this will allow you to do that. But the thing that I want to do is capture a selected area, or you can capture the visible part of the page, or let's say that you're having them annotate all the way down, right? We're doing all of these highlights all the way down. We're coming in, we're clicking on red, we're coming in, we're clicking on gray, we click on all these different things. You don't want to take multiple screenshots. So with Awesome Screenshot, you can actually click on it and select entire page. And when it captures the entire page, it scrolls all the way to the bottom. And now you have the entirety of all of the highlights. And then if you wanted to, you can then come in here, you can crop it to just the parts that you annotated, crop, and now you have everything that you've done right on the page. And then of course you hit done. And actually before I hit done, let's say that you forgot to do something, like, oh wait, this is something that my teacher wanted me to do, is this paragraph. They can still do that. They can still come in here, they can still take their pencil, and they can now still circle, they can change the color back to red, they can circle again. They can do all of these things again right on top of their screenshot already. And then when you hit done, boom, it brings that there. And one of the great things is it allows you to connect with cloud storage. You can download it directly to your computer, yes, but you can also select connect to my cloud storage, and then it will automatically upload it to your Google Drive. So really cool feature right there. And then once again, what can you do with these screenshots? Once again, you can have the students send them over to you via Google Classroom, or you can use a slide snap just like this, because we've already done this one right here, but now let's say that I want to do another one. So you would right click right here. I'm going to replace the image with the one we just done, and there you go. You have that screenshot right there of everything that you've done. So it's a pretty neat way to annotate the internet. It's a great way to have kids interact with the text, and it's a really good way for you to check for understanding in the moment, not after the fact, during the course of the lesson, which really increases that feedback loop and really allows us as educators to really say, do you understand the text? Do you understand what I'm trying to convey here? Just a really great way to utilize digital linking, utilize digital text, utilize everything, and utilize the Google tools that are already available to you. Thank you so much. If you liked this video, please share it on all your socials that you have. And also, if you like the other videos that we have here as well, please subscribe to our channel. We always love to have a new member of the EdTech Army. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and thank you so much for being a great educator and doing amazing things for our students. Hang tight with this remote learning situation we have right now, but remember, all of these things that I'm showcasing here can be used in a blended learning environment. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.